Hello, South Buyers. It's time for another conversation centered around South by Southwest 2022. This one takes us back to the red carpet prior to the premiere of the new HBO documentary, Tony Hawk, Until the Wheels Fall Off. The film, which premieres on HBO on April 5th, provides a wide-ranging, definitive look at Hawk's life and iconic career, and his relationship with the sport, with which he's been synonymous for decades through unprecedented access, never-before-seen footage and interviews with Hawk and other prominent figures in the sport, including Stacey Peralta, Rodney Mullen, and Steve Caballero. During this episode, you'll hear me speak with director Sam Jones and the legend himself, Tony Hawk. Many of you may have seen that the 53-year-old Hawk suffered a skateboarding accident in early March that resulted in a compound fracture in his femur. The X-ray he posted on Instagram is gruesome. But here's the incredible part. Just 5 days later, he appeared in Austin and on the red carpet for the premiere and to conduct interviews. Even more amazingly, the guy was already on crutches, which he passed off for every picture taken and every interview conducted before the screening. I've never been so physically in awe of someone as I was Tony, quote unquote, sucking it up with a broken femur to be at the premiere, something I addressed with him in my first question. But first, though, you'll hear from director Sam Jones, a legend in his own right, a renowned photographer whose portraits of Barack Obama, Sandra Bullock, George Clooney, Bob Dylan, Kristen Stewart, Robert Downey Jr., Amy Adams, and Jack Nicholson have appeared on the covers of Vanity Fair, Rolling Stone, Esquire, GQ, Time, Entertainment Weekly, and Men's Journal. And he's a world-class interviewer, as evidenced by the conversations he's conducted on DirecTV's Audience Network program, Off Camera with Sam Jones. Those guests include Dave Grohl, Matt Damon, Will Ferrell, and Hawk. Without further ado, here are Sam Jones and Tony Hawk on Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off, starting with Sam Jones. Hey there, Sam. I'm Trey Elling. I'm with a local radio station.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So feeling pretty good about your time in Austin so far?
Yeah, no, it's been great. We had an amazing sushi dinner last night at Sushi Bar ATX, which with a little private dinner with Tony and Mark and sort of our little group. And it was really nice to get together and be here in person and to be at a film festival that's not virtual and celebrate all these films has been a great experience so far.
Was the genesis of this project Tony's appearance on your excellent long-form interview show, Off Camera with Sam Jones?
You know, thank you for asking, and in a way it was, because that's when I sort of got to know him better. I've been stalking Tony since I was 15 years old at the skate park, but he thinks we met in 2013, and once we met and found out how all these shared friends we had and experiences, we started becoming friendly, and so that was the genesis in a lot of ways. And hearing him to talk about his own experience from his point of view on the show in a long form format made me realize that he was articulate and emotional enough to be able to carry the story of his life.
You're adept at telling stories in a variety of formats. You're obviously a renowned photographer. You do great interviews, and you're also a filmmaker as well. And being a good storyteller involves touching on vulnerabilities at times. Was there a biggest vulnerability for him that you really had to think hard about how to approach that, and what was the ultimate solution there?
Yeah, to me, I think that looking at the age that Tony is and the fact that his entire identity has been skateboarding his whole life, that can come with quite a burden on how you live your life when you get injured, as we've seen this week, or when you know your talents start to aging starts to take its toll. And so for me, it was, how do I tell the story about somebody who refuses to give in to those things and loves the sport so much and wants to keep doing it. And to handle that in a way that got the story right. Because I think with skateboarding, people get the story wrong a lot. You know, skateboarding is often in the media or in any sort of format, unless you really skate, you don't understand it. So for me, I really wanted to make Tony feel like he was understood and his passion and drive was understood, because he truly loves it. He found what he loved to do when he was 10 years old, and it's still sustaining him.
You personally have been lauded for your ability to get to the root of the humanity of others. The best humanitarians tend to have that moment in life or a person in life that really helped them understand the importance of touching humanity. Do you have that person or that moment that has really fueled you going forward?
Gosh, I have so many of those people. I think that I've been so lucky to work with a lot of the people that I admire, and I think I take a little bit from each person. I mean, if I name one person, I'd be, I had a photo teacher in college named Mark Boster, who was the first person who sort of saw that I had some ability with a camera, and Cameron Crowe came along and saw that I could do narrative and not just documentary, and supported me there's a guy named Bill Lawrence who put me on a television show that I had no business directing because he believed I could do it. And so to me, there's all kinds of people like that said, we think you could do this. And I wasn't someone who grew up with a lot of thinking I could do it. So there's so many of those people.
Last question. It's a nerdy one because I love the art of the interview. You're obviously very good at it. What's the key to a good question, Sam?
The key to a good question is listening to the answer, because the good question is usually the second question. So I think not having a huge expectation that you know what the answer should be and really listening can make for a really good follow-up question that you can really get to somebody.
Thank you so much for your work, and thank you for the time today.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.
Station here in Austin. How you doing today?
I've been better, but I'm excited to be here.
No doubt about that. You are pulling off what is the equivalent of a red carpet 1080, breaking your femur earlier this week, but you're out here because this matters that much to you. How does it feel to enter that Bill Murray pantheon where your middle name has now officially been changed to fucking?
It's an honor. Especially if you're categorizing me in the same light as him. I'm honored, and I wouldn't have missed it. I mean, this is really it's hard. It's complicated to be the focus of a documentary, and I believe in how Sam presented it. I had no control over the narrative, but at the same time, I wouldn't miss the premiere. I mean, that would seem like the most defeated I would ever be.
No doubt about that. Obviously, vulnerability is a big part of skateboarding, physical and mental vulnerability as well, and that, of course, is in play when you are having a documentary made about you. What's the most vulnerable you felt throughout the filmmaking process?
Just talking about my challenges, more personal, emotional challenges through the years. That's not something I ever really shared or thought I would want to share. But Sam, he approached it in a very mindful way, and I was thankful for the way that he presented it and the way I have seen it, and I'm thankful for how he showed it in the end.
And a little while back, Black Twitter actually had a hypothetical race war going, and they were talking about white people they would have a hard time getting rid of. You ended up on that list. Is that a career highlight, knowing that Black Twitter would be reluctant to try and kill you off in a race war?
Absolutely. I hope that's my legacy.
Thank you so much, Tony. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks to Trevor Hines for operating the camera. Follow him on Instagram @TrevorHines, and for Josh Bates for the video editing. If you have any video editing needs for Josh, hit him up on Instagram @ForagerDigital. And thanks as always to Gentleman Jesus for the intro and outro music. Hear more of his work at gentlemanjesus.com. And thanks to you for hanging out. You can check out all of my South by Southwest coverage and my other chats with filmmakers, authors, and interesting people about their stories at booksonpod.com. For Books on Pod, I'm Trey Elling. Good day.